Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. It's me, Gavin, hosting today with Stuart. Forgive my attire, as some of you know, I'm knee-deep moving house and stuff, which this is not a fake background. Actually, it's relatively tidy behind. So, yeah, all very exciting stuff. But we'll just give a minute or so for a few more just to jump on, and then we'll get started. Very excited today because I think, notwithstanding the pandemic that we are in throughout the world, I think just normally we can all do a better job of creating a better business for ourselves. And actually, you know, when you do create a better business, you become a better coach as well, because things work more efficiently. You're making a little bit more profit, a little bit more money, and you know, it's just a spiral that kind of works in your favor over a period of time. So I'd like to give a warm welcome to Steve Astle. And some of you might have come across Steve before, but if you haven't, then Steve is the main man at the East Midlands Golf Academy. So yes, a very full-time, very functional coach with a very successful business. But on the side of that, Steve is also responsible for his own business entity, which is the golf coaching business, which effectively is a consultancy for golf professionals, clubs, academies, driving ranges, to help them create growth and sustainability within their businesses. And that topic obviously can go across many different areas. So Steve, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join us today on Under the Hat. We're excited to see what you've got to present, as well as then an opportunity for coaches to interact with you on the back end. And then once we have concluded, I think the opportunity for coaches to reach out to you and to spend a bit of time with you if they so choose. So thanks for coming, and yeah, look forward to the next 60 minutes or so.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here. I understand you've had Paul Laurie, is that right, in previous weeks, and David in as well. So it's really after the Lord Mayor's show today, I'm afraid. You've got down to me now. So it's great to see some familiar faces in the room. I'm seeing Craig and Andy. How you guys doing? Hope you're well. And lots of the faces that I've come across through social media, and we've kind of crossed paths in different ways. So yeah, pleasure to be here. Looking today to just really have a nice open session. I've got a few slides put together that I'll hopefully get you thinking about things a little bit to begin with, but we really want to try and personalize things as much as we can today. So, you know, as I'm sure these guys preach to, you know, questions are bad ones, so fire anything out there today. If you don't ask it, somebody else might do, but you also might ask something that somebody else is dying to ask themselves. Also, just check on your screens that you can access the chat function, because we're going to use that a little bit as we go through. Rather than getting every shout out at once, I might just throw a few questions out there to you. So, and also, can just unmute yourself. Can they unmute themselves as we go, or do they need to ask for that?
No, they should be able to do that. Yeah.
Cool. So if you need to unmute as well and just shout something out and stop me in my flow, just go for it. So I want it to be a really open, interactive session.
Okay, just before you get started, Steve, just got a couple. I just wanted to kind of just set the scene a little bit more, and I wanted just to ask you actually how you got to this point, because obviously you started coaching first, and then you developed a real interest and passion for the business side of things. So how did your golf coaching business evolve from the day-to-day life of a golf coach?
That's slide one. That's my first slide. You can ask me about slide two as well, if you like. Great question. Great question, and absolutely. So that's the first thing we'll do. Let's go with it. Let me very much. We're about the golf coaching business. You know, we just had a little chat before you guys came into the room, guys and girls came into the room, just about the business of golf coaching, and I think it's a really undervalued area of the market. There's a lot of skilled coaches in the room today, and I do think, and we'll talk about this as we go, but I think it's something that people are really starting to pick up and take notice of, which is fantastic. Maybe it's a little bit COVID driven because people have suddenly had a bit of a scare, and going, actually, how am I going to pay the bills this month? How am I going to fill my diary when I return out there? And it's quite an unnerving time for people. And I've spent a lot of this time period taking phone calls from coaches that feel a little bit lonely out there working on their own in different academies. And I also think just coaches being on that journey, and they're churning the lessons out, they're upskilling themselves in terms of their technical knowledge. And when everything's going great, it's not a problem. The people keep falling into the diary. But today we want to look a little bit at what top tips I can give you to help you fill your coaching diary. And for some of you UK based, you may be going back to a fairly quiet diary on March the 29th. For some of you, it just might be, actually, I'd love to maximize my diary more. For some of you, maybe, actually, Steve, I'm really absolutely busy all the time, but I've not seen my family for about 6 weeks. So I think there's ways that we can find that. I'm a big believer in that we can get a really nice balance between coaching, between helping our students, but also helping ourselves on the journey. So let's kind of dive into it. And as we said there, to begin with, I would, for me, going through COVID here is a real chance to step back and go, I've been forced to reflect. I've been forced to sit back and go, what is going on in my world? What is going on in my business? How can I make it better? What do I actually love about it? And what can I change? And I think for some people, if you've not gone through that process yet, and I'm sure most of you will, I want today to almost be a bit of a catalyst for that as well. So I think I've put there my first title, if you do what you love and you have a real passion for it, in terms of business sense, that is going to ride over a lot of the speed bumps for you, because you're going to be able to push on when things get tough because you're doing what you love. And people really, it comes across to them, the passion that you've got, and people buy from people in a business sense. So if you're doing what you love day in, day out, and you can inspire other people, you're off to a great start straight away. So first question, what's my story? So let's move into that. So Gavin asked me there, how did I end up where I ended up? So that's something I kind of reflect back on. And I certainly didn't come into the golf industry with the intention of building people's coaching business or helping them to get a work-life balance. My passion was playing, like most of you in the room, was the sport itself, getting the ball in the hole in as few shots as possible. Just like you, I was probably out on the chipping green till dark and getting in front of the committee, for hitting 5 balls down the 6th fairway and things like that, and just in love with the game. So for me, that developed into, I wanted to play for a living. I went to college in the States. I was multi-sport with everything that I did. Went to college in the States, played basketball and golf out there. And pretty soon got to a time period after running into 6'10" guys' elbows, realizing that I wasn't going to be able to play basketball for a living. So golf really became my passion. And what I found, probably unconsciously, was that I spent loads of time on the driving range with my college teammates, helping them hit better shots. And the golf swing was starting to fascinate me, how you could do what you needed to do. And again, and that people needed help. And certainly if for any of you in the States, or if you've been through that experience yourself, you go without a coach for a long time, and actually it becomes a playing environment. So you have to learn to manage yourself, to own what you do and have real accountability. So that was the real start for me. I came back into the UK, played a bit of mini tour stuff. Again, very quickly, spent a lot of time, enjoyed helping other players more. And actually, I think from there as well, realized again, I'm probably very good at reflecting. I would say is one of my skills. And the reflection was, I'm not good enough to play for a living here, and I'm not going to be able to pay the bills. So I started out at a municipal golf course, and I was able to fill my diary very quickly. And at the time, I couldn't tell you how. There wasn't any real marketing. It was just a real love for helping people, spending time with people. Being on the practice ground myself a lot, I think attracted people. So I managed to fill my diary at a municipal course where people didn't have much money in my town, and I've been around there for years myself, and I thought, well, maybe because I've been here for 10 years, people know me and it's a natural gravitation. So the next step for me was then I went abroad. I wanted a challenge to teach overseas. I was starting to fall in love with coaching at this point in time. I went into Austria. I actually had a few conversations with the Leadbetter team at the time, and I went to a different route, and I went into Austria. Learned to teach very quickly in a different language, which was just eye-opening for my coaching. And again, managed to fill a diary, but that was a different way. So what was happening there was I was up in the Alps. It was a 4 or 5 star resort, and I'd start the week off with nothing in my diary. And Sunday evening, we'd go into the hotel reception as people were checking in, and we'd invite them to come for what's called a schnupper course, was a trial course on a Monday morning for 2 hours. And we'd have maybe 30 or 40 people that were on holiday show up for that, and then we'd sign them up for lessons for the week. A lot of people traveling in from Germany, and it was very much a cultural thing. People wanted to learn to play golf in a week, and then people would come back maybe twice a year. So I filled my diary that way. I then went around the world a little bit, went to New Zealand coaching. Again, a real challenge there when, you can play golf probably about 10 times for the price of 1 lesson. So that was a real challenge to try and get people to part with their money compared with them going and playing 10 rounds of golf, what they could get for it. Came back into the UK and just started to freelance and coach. So I've been fortunate that I've filled my diary everywhere I've gone, or at least I thought I was being fortunate. And then I started to look into the detail of why I was filling my diary and the things that were sitting behind this. The big change in my life, in my story, came when we had kids, and our firstborn got really ill, and to a point that after 6 months he needed a bone marrow transplant. And I live in the Midlands, and the nearest specialist centre was Manchester, which is about 2 hours away from us. So I've suddenly gone from loving my job, coaching, I'm working with elite level players, filling my diary with those, getting results, and they're telling their friends, to suddenly going, right, now I've got to move. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and live in Manchester 5 days a week or 4 days a week, come back to Derby, fill my diary at the times I want to fill my diary, and then I'd go back to the hospital again. So the game changed in that where I was meeting everybody's needs, I suddenly needed people to meet my needs, and I had to flip my diary and go, I need to see you when I need to see you, when it works for me, and obviously trying to work with you as well. But suddenly I had to try and meet certain financial criteria. I had to make sure that I could squash my diary together as much as possible, not be doing a lesson at 9, one at 12, one at 4, one at 7, and coming home convincing myself that I had a busy day. But I had to try and get them into 5-hour blocks, 6-hour blocks. I learned the skills of how could I book people in 2 weeks ahead of time, 2 months ahead of time, 4 months ahead of time. So really that was my story and how those things happened, and how it's been ever since, really. So we've got 2 children with disabilities, and that's very much what I fit my world around. So that's my story, and that therefore that predicts what I do on a day-to-day basis. So that leads me into, what do you want? And that's a question I would ask yourself. So what do I want? I want to spend lots of time with my kids. I want to be able to earn a certain number. I want to work X amount of hours a week to be able to do that. And I want to teach the kind of people that I want to teach. So it sounds quite a lot. And I think a lot of us kind of go, well, I've not got that option. I'm being told to do this, told to do that. And if we're not careful, we fall out of this love part and actually fall out of love with the game. And that was certainly something I encountered quite a lot in Europe, is coaches going, I'm burnt out. I've done 8 seasons in Germany. I'm doing 70 hours a week because I have to do this because I can't teach during the winter. And it was almost a very much self-driven, and people convincing themselves, I have to do this because this is what the industry makes me do. So that's very much what I decided to do, what I wanted to do, and build a business around that. So really, Gavin, I guess that's where that then fell into where I am now. I suddenly started to meet lots of coaches. with the same situations, the same stories, the same problems that needed solving. And I'd almost got a little bit of a, as you will, I'd got a story behind me that went, you know what, I think I've got some answers to these solutions. Let's try and turn it into a business. So that's pretty much what I've done. And we're probably, 4 or 5 years in now. And again, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but it just started out. My wife's Finnish. I was sat in Finland one summer and I went, you know what, I'm going to set up a workshop and deliver it to people. And I just went onto Twitter and went, anybody want to know how to grow their golf business? I'd not got a date. I'd not got a room or a time. And 3 people came back to me and said, yeah, I'd love to do that. I'd not even got a price. And it was literally, let's throw it out there. Right, people want to do this. Now let's go find a room. Let's find a venue. Let's find a time. And again, I think as we get in our own way as golf coaches, because let's be honest, we're great at hitting a ball in a hole in a field. We don't come from a business background. We're kind of thrown into it. So we've had to learn, or we're learning these skills of how to run a business, because that's what it is. I run a business on a day-to-day, and you all run businesses on a day-to-day. So that's very much what I decided to do. It was, and that's how I live my life now. It's very much, you know what, this is where I want to go next. Let's go make it happen, rather than trying to sit there and wait for something to happen to me. Do I mess up? Yes, countless times. But it's this love and this inspiration, I guess, that keeps me going day in, day out. And we all have the clients that walk in our door that are living for Friday night, the builder that's living for Friday night. And I don't want to live my life living for Friday night. I want it to be every day where I can get out of bed and have a real passion for what I do. And that'd be my biggest message today, that everybody in this room's got a choice of how they want to live that moving forward. So it starts with me, what do I want? That reflection and self-questioning process. And I'm sure through the whole Leadbetter process you've been going through here, the certification, the community you're creating a community where you're going to be able to ask and question each other and help each other reflect. And that's so powerful, because I said, when you're stuck on your own, it's a lonely old world out there. And when you're stuck on your own with not many people in your diary, then you really start to question what you're doing. So to share that with other people that have maybe been through the same is really powerful. And if you can get people to question you as well, and just if you've not got the ability to self-reflect, it really sets up what you're going to do next. So this is how I start out. I say get a plan. I say I roll the ball out a little bit sometimes and just do it, but I start with a structure and I have a clear picture of how I want the journey to play out. So that might be, as I said, it might be with how much I want to make, what my 5-year strategy is for where I want to be then, what my exit strategy for when I want to retire. So I've got a real clear picture of how I want that to be. Is it going to go exactly to plan? I would very much doubt, but there's a real sort of direction, if that makes sense. I'm saying to myself, I want to go to London, right, which direction is it? It's that way. I don't know exactly which road that's going to be on, but I know which direction I need to go in, and I'm going to encounter things on the way. So, as I said, where do I want to finish up? And then what I try and do is reverse engineer the process as much as possible. So let's say, for example, if I want to make 40,000 a year, let's just pull a number out of the air. So I want to make 40,000 a year, and I want to take 8 weeks off a year to spend with my family. I don't want to work any more than 5 days a week. I can now break that down into what I need to charge on an hourly rate and how many hours a week I need to work. It's simple as that. The only thing that unplugs that plan is I've got to fill those times. And when you really start to get into it, in the industry that we're in, we're paid pretty well. The problem is that we're not filling our diaries and not managing our diaries well enough. So therefore we're equating, yeah, I do 40,000 a year, but I do 60 hours a week. And when I ask golf coaches how many weeks off a year they go, oh, take weeks off? Never take weeks off. And we kind of penning ourselves in, or the industry is penning us in with that as well. We're letting it dictate to us. So I'd always start reverse engineering the process, start with a number you want to make, work it backwards. That's going to tell you either A, how many hours a week you need to work based on your current number, or B, what you need to charge for those hours that you want to do. And when you do start to break it down, a lot of you will be on, decent numbers in the room. You know, if you're on 40, 50, 60, 80 pounds an hour, you can get up to some good numbers and still have an amazing work-life balance with that as well, if you're smart with your time. So I always reverse engineer the process. And as I said, can it change? Yes, more than likely. Things will change. Say life has really thrown a few curveballs at me, but you know, and us as a family, but you just roll with that and you still focus on where you want to be. So getting into the everyday stuff, know your marketplace. I think because of what I've just described beforehand there, what tends to happen is that we get dictated to again by the market because we're letting it take us where we want to. So therefore, because we might not have full diaries, we try to be everything to everybody. And if I could go into all of your biographies on your website, I'll pretty much guarantee it says teaches beginners to tour players, because that's what I see pretty much every day on web pages. So really it's about knowing your marketplace. Who do you want to coach? So I started out on a journey where I wanted to coach elite level players. Loved that journey. It was fantastic. Why was it fantastic? Because I was helping people achieve their dreams. Did I have a skill set and a knowledge of the golf swing much better than anybody else's? I don't think I did. I think I just upskilled in an area because that's where I was really focused. When I know who I wanted to coach, it enabled me to go and research those areas. So whether it was a junior coach or whatever it is, it allowed me to go and upskill and specialize in that area. So know who you want to coach. We'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute. What's their ICA? So basically their avatar. What's their individual customer's avatar? And when we talk about an avatar, we're talking about what does that customer really look like? And the best marketers that I see and the best business people are so clued into what their customer looks like that it makes their marketing so easy. And I mean, they can drill down to where these people hang out, what they eat, what their incomes are, you know, the type of family homes that they have, where they go on holidays, where they hang out online, all of these kind of things. They're so precise with getting what their individual customer's ICA is that suddenly they've opened up this huge marketplace and they've made themselves quite elite in the process. So I would really challenge you if you don't know what your customer's ICA is. In fact, let's get a bit of interaction. If you want to jump onto your chat function right now for me, I'll just hop off of this, see if I can jump into the rest of the room there. And what I want you to do for me, go into the chat box and put down there 2 things for me. One, what's your biggest challenge in your workplace at the moment? So things that I've mentioned, is it family? Is it money? Is it the person you work with? Is it you're restricted by a wage? And then the second thing is, do you know what your ICA is? Do you know what your USP, your unique selling point is? Do you know what your customer looks like? So a few different questions there, but start with what's your biggest challenge? Who do you coach, if I simplified it, or who do you want to coach, if I simplified it into that? So Craig, a couple of comments there. Craig, obviously we've worked, you know, for a good 6 to 8 months, and you know, we talk a lot about reflecting and those kind of things. And for you, you said the time's helped, hasn't it? You know, you were a man that was rushing around like a headless chicken when we first met, and now you're really clear what you want, and you have reverse engineered it back. So you've done a great job there.
Yeah, I've got to admit to everyone that, like I say, I think it was the beginning of lockdown last year when Steve hosted some Zoom meetings, and we used to have a weekly meeting like this, just a load of coaches. And again, it just totally made me look inwardly and seeing where I was going wrong. And I guess it's hard to sometimes look in and go, you know, this is wrong. you know, because we all think that we do a great job. But again, what we worked out, and, you know, the love of the game drags you away from the love of your family and things like that. And again, you know, we've worked hard, and now I've got myself into a position where, you know, I work 4 days a week. I do 4 5-hour shifts, and that's more than enough for me to live on. And again, I don't need to do any more. And it's actually nice now to be able to, if people want a lesson, go, well, I can get you in 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks time, where in the past I was always just trying to please everyone and just, oh yeah, I meant to go home for tea now, but I tell you what, I'll do a lesson now with you. And then of course you get home and you get it in the neck off the missus because you've missed your tea. But you feel you make the customer more important than actually your family and yourself. And I think that's, again, I think that is the biggest mistake, and it's the one thing that the PGA don't train, unfortunately.
You know, that's fascinating, isn't it? Like you said, it's almost, we come out of the PGA with the skill set to deliver to people and help people hit shots better, but we don't have the skills to look after ourselves and our own business. So yeah, thanks for sharing, mate. So you're a real credit to yourself and what you've done through this time period, and to be able to stand up there and go, 20 hours is enough for me, I can live off that, that's my number, and I can engineer it backwards, and then you can live with yourself on that. So that's awesome. So just running down the list here, you know, it's great for people to share this. So Stephen there, time restriction, your current role, no defined customer, that's great. So maybe that's something you can take from today. Roger, you look like you've got lots going on there. Running a junior tour as well as USP with juniors and seniors. There's definitely lots going on. You're from Gavin there, challenge club owners and managers. Yeah. Andrew, have enough time to fit everything in, teaching, educating, and the day job. But what you have got there, Gavin, as you said, you've got a clear ICA, which helps. You know who those people are. Andy, time with family. I say I haven't got one, more dictated by the environment, but do have an ideal. So you may be trying to get that. But as Craig says there, you're being dictated by the environment. I see that a lot, where you go, oh, there's somebody showing up here for a lesson. I need to take that. I have to do that lesson for them. Stuart, let's have a look. Problem organising time slots to suit me. Want to coach club players. Okay, lovely. Darren, getting into schools. A few different avatars around the juniors you want to coach. Lovely. And Leah, who do you coach? Juniors age 2 to 18. Biggest challenge, getting the kids onto the course. Is that an environmental challenge, Leah? Or is that from the facility itself, getting them out there?
It's more because I'm fairly new at this placement, so still trying to build that rapport, and they haven't had juniors there for years, so it's a very slow process. And I think it wasn't too bad towards the end of last year, but then we've had lockdown again, and I know as soon as we return the 29th of March, everybody's going to fight to get onto that golf course. Rightly so, we haven't had it for months. So that's going to be a big challenge, is finding appropriate time slots, I should say, to get the children out there where they're not under pressure to, you know, got someone behind them, got to keep up. I want it to be as chilled out as possible. But yeah, I'd say, so it's a mix of environmental, but also just finding my feet with my new placement. Unfortunately, I haven't been there. Well, started at probably like the worst time possible during a pandemic, but there we go. That's the way I roll, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely, and just find a way through it. You know, and I think what's interesting there, Leah, is that, you know, certainly it'd be great to get your take on this, Gavin, and as well, is that I'm hearing, you know, loads at the moment about we need to get kids on the course quicker. Let's get them out faster. Let's let them enjoy the fun of playing the game. But there's so many environmental restrictions, isn't there, as we go into, you know, from venue to venue, that actually coaches are getting a very much a mixed message at the moment in many ways.
It's part of the bigger picture, isn't it? I think part of the bigger picture in terms of going back to the commercial spin-offs from teaching children. At the end of the day, the club owner or the manager has to see commercial upside to you teaching children, right? They should be targeting each coach with various KPIs. You should be engaged in what they want, because you've got to facilitate and build that relationship. But I think in the instance of getting kids out onto the golf course, if there's a clear plan and a clear structure to growing junior membership, then you have some bargaining power and some tools to go back to the manager's office and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what the next 6 months, 12 months look like. This is the projected revenue we're going to bring in, but we do need this from you in order to help grow that. So it's not just a case of saying, I want these tee times. It's like, well, this is part of the plan that we put together. Let's build it together, because that's why you brought me here in the first place. That's ultimately what it's all about, isn't it? So there are challenges on the surface, certainly, but you can certainly navigate through that. Not saying that it's easy, but it's possible.
Fantastic. Warren there, family life important. Great, help people to discover themselves. I think that's a nice, it's a nice USP. Andrew, I love working with all types of players, not really interested in coaching the best, trying to help everyone to play the best they can play. I enjoy using tech, okay, more in tune with the younger type of players. Again, I think there's kind of, it's a loose answer that really, Andrew, and maybe today that'll help you just think, actually, do I need to dig a little bit deeper on that? Is that a clear enough USP? Can I market people with enough quality there with that answer? But again, great answer. And then can I
throw a dodgeball in, Steve?
Throw me one.
You talk about the avatars and that, and as you picked up, I said I've got a few. I see my avatars, because I'm wanting to be the junior coach, not as the junior themselves, but it's the parents. I'm not selling golf or myself to the kid in the school, hence why I've got to get into the school. So I've got an avatar for a head, a primary school teacher, a governor. I've got the parent, the single parent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just throw that in for everybody, because it's not always.
Decision makers, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to fill my diary, not the kids.
Yeah, and Leah's got the same thing there. It's the decision makers, as Gavin says there. That's almost that we need to be selling to, not the other members. It's getting the golf clubs on board to be able to do that. And I've got a lot of experience around schools and school governors as well, Darren. And you're spot on. It's where it fits in their strategy. So that's a great point to make.
You're not gonna. You're probably going to cover this, Steve. But when we sell our lessons, for example, I'm going to say this out loud, right? So just bear with me. It drives me nuts when I see coaches selling 6 lessons for the price of 5. It drives me absolutely bonkers, because first of all, you're undervaluing yourself. But secondly, you're not selling golf lessons because someone's going to pay any less for it. That's not what the selling point is. You're selling happiness. You're selling joy. You're selling saving somebody's marriage. You know what I'm saying? It's selling the benefits of being engaged in the process. So when you're talking to the school teachers, the head teachers, the single parent, it's about selling the benefits of it, as opposed to, this is just a great thing to do because it's 6 for the price of 5, as an example. We've got to really look at why it is the best thing that these people need to be involved with.
Yeah. Don't get me started on 6 for 5s. Why it's 6 for 5, I don't know. But, I think that's one of my mission statements: is rid the world of 6 for 5. But Sarah, great answer here. So again, quite new to the coaching world here. Worked in group golf areas, but starting one-on-one is new. So it's almost becoming your own business now, isn't it? In terms of that. And then a nice avatar. I want to coach young athletes and beginners. Started playing college, went through a lot of uncomfortable stuff to do, helping people understand that everybody starts there and you can only go what. So again, your story almost, I think, is a valid part, isn't it, Sarah, of the journey for your avatar moving forward. Help new people get comfortable, help young athletes find colleges to continue playing golf at whatever level they may want. That's lovely. So you've got a really nice, general avatar, and you'll be able to dig in a little bit deeper into those. Again, I don't see many people in our industry that go, I just want to help beginners. That's my market, is get new people into golf. Everybody, pretty much goes, I want to coach a tour player. And I think we're starting to get the message out there now that there's lots of ways that you can make a living in this industry. The problem is that, and I use Dave as an example, is that the industry lifts the people that are making the most money to the top, and we make them the best coaches. But I see some amazing coaches that work with, disabled athletes, with special needs children, with beginners into the game with, you know, so there's so many ways that, again, you go back into the passion and the dream bit on that first page, and you don't have to just become a golf coach. You can become amazing at getting people into the game. So I love that you've got that down there as an avatar. Barney, biggest challenge, making golf accessible without underselling the product work-life balance. Okay, and your ICA junior golfers, again, really clear, age 5 to 18, good USP. Love it. Okay, so we'll flip on from that. I mean, we've got a really nice feeling there of there's some good avatars in the room. People are getting a clear picture of what they want to do, which is fantastic. So we'll kind of skip on through this. So as we said, where do those people hang out? And almost as Gavin mentioned there, one of the biggest things I want to know is what is their pain point? And this is going to touch on what Darren said as well, that the pain point for the school could be, we're not providing a service that we need to be providing. The pain point for the parent could be, I need to get my kids out of the house on a Saturday morning so that I can go and do the shopping. It's not what we want them to be there for, but that could be their pain point. It could be the flip side of that is also the parents want to give their kids the best experience and give them life skills. And that's part of it as well. The pain point could be that I want to hit it past my mates because I'm tired of being the first to play into a par 4 every single Saturday. The pain point could be, I want to be a single figure handicapper. So if you can get into that pain point and find it really early, and for some of you, that pain point could be, Steve, I'm out there on my own and the pain point is I don't know how to fill my diary. My pain point is that I'm working 60, 70 hours a week. So that becomes my pain point for working with people like yourselves. But I would write this stuff down. I would write down what my IC, what my USP is, what that person looks like, where they hang out, which social media channels they're probably going to be on. And then really in the middle of that, what is their pain point and how can I get down to that and help solve that problem? So related to that, once you've got an idea of who your ideal customer looks like, then you've got to know how to catch the right fish. So really we're into the marketing rules here. I'm sure a lot of you have come across the 80-20 rule before, which is 80-20 rule. We're really looking at how we can, 80% of your business is going to come from 20% of the people. Pareto's rule. It's pretty much a very clear business rule. And so if I've got 1,000 people on my database, how many of those do you think are going to open my email when I send it out? How many people do you think are going to open? There's your next one in the chat. What do you think? If you send an email out to 1,000 people that you've worked with, you've taught them all, you know these people, what do you think is going to be the percentage of open rate? Pop it in the box for me again. What do you think? This is where everybody waits for somebody else to go first. Okay. What's really interesting is you can see we've got a huge stretch across the board here from 1 to 2% right the way through to 60%. Now, some of you may know what your own open rate is. If you don't, I would say find out. We'll talk about how you can do that later on. The industry average for golf, Barney's hit it there, is about 35% for the leisure industry. That's your open rate. So if we've got 1,000 people on a database that I think, I've coached them, I know them, I've spent time with them, only 350 of those people are going to open it. So it's understanding that they're the numbers that you're playing with. But if you've only got 100 people on your database, right now you've only got 35 people that are looking at this. So, and this works the same with social media. We'll talk about this more in a bit, but those people have got 20,000 followers on Instagram and we think, well, they're doing really well, they must be busy. What's really fascinating is how many of those 20,000 are actually engaging with those people. So it is a numbers game, but you need to take those numbers and scale them downward and find out actually how many people are really engaging with me, how much of this is organic traffic, and what can I convert at the back end of this. So the 80-20 rule is 80% of your income is probably going to come from 20% of your people. Okay,
Steve. Yeah. We talk a lot in our little section for the kids as the the funnel of participation. And this was based on a study that we conducted in between 2013 and 2016 in Atlanta. And it was basically charting the conversion rates of kids as they moved through different parts of the program. So from how they interacted with us at the very start, so from taster session through to the first part of the school program, and then from the schools into the club-based programs. And the fact that you call it a numbers game is huge, because it is absolutely a numbers game. And if you want to get 100, it's almost working it back, reverse engineering it, as you called it before. If you want to get 100 kids in your academy, you probably have to get close to teaching or seeing about 30,000 kids, at school as part of big taster sessions. And as each level drops off in terms of those that convert from one stage or one level to the next, you need to continue to funnel students or new golfers into the top so that they come through into the rest of your programming. And it's the same with what you've described here. And I think the numbers game is something that we don't do a great job of, because we don't stay the course for long enough for us to actually realize the growth potential in that. And I think even if you get 100 out of 30,000, that's still a good hit rate when you look at what the output really is at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then it's really starting to dig a little bit more and understanding that actually, is that hard to get people? Have I got the right processes in place, or am I trying hard enough to keep these people once I've got them? Because we can see how tough it is to get some of them, and retention we'll talk about in a bit, but that's something we need to spend a lot of time on. Craig, was there something you wanted to jump in on?
Yeah, just going back to obviously your social media followers. I sat on a discussion thing the other week with a guy called Will Robbins, and he was discussing about obviously Facebook and social media followers. And he said, this is a great test, and I don't know if this is a good thing for everyone. When obviously either go back this week and send out a thing inviting who would like to have a game of golf with you. And he said, by the ones that reply are the ones that actually are your followers, and they're not just your numbers. So I thought that was a great thing, and I just thought I'd share that with everyone. Just again, there's a great test and a great way to find out. Now I've done that, and I've done it obviously with my followers, and like I say, out of the few hundred followers that I have, there was actually only 7 that replied that actually wanted to have a game of golf with me. So it was quite interesting, that people just tag on just following someone just for the sake of following, but actually don't really pay notice.
It's very much where we are in society at the moment. I think it's, we're almost, without going too deep on this, but people are predicting their self-worth, aren't they, by how many followers they've got. And it's a really dangerous game. And again, within the junior programs, it's something I think that we can really start to educate around. And, we could do a whole hour on that in itself, but I think that's a great point, Craig. And also Will Robbins that you mentioned there does a similar role to what I do, worth listening to. Will does some great stuff around this area as well. So the next bit I've put here is, we've talked about it a little bit already. There's a slight difference between your avatar, obviously, and your unique selling point. But again, knowing how to catch the right fish, don't be scared to get a USP. This is one of the most scariest things I think that coaches I work with struggle with, is to pin themselves to go, that's me, that's who I work with, and I'm going to just I'm going to pin myself in that area. While we do that, again, I'm going to go to the chat box probably for the last time here, but I want you to tell me give me people that you know in the industry that you think have got a USP, and it just jumps out at you. Put their name in the box, somebody that you think has got a good USP. And basically, I would judge that by, if you put their name in there, I can tell you what they do. Great. So just working down those, you'd say Phil, very clearly made himself a putting coach. Scott Cowkes, I'd say technical intervention, working with tour players. Jamie Donaldson, and Jamie was a fascinating one because I used to work with Jamie delivering some PGA coach education, and the best thing that happened to him is he got made redundant from his facility, and then he bumped into Mark Sweeney and John Graham and ended up delivering. So I was on the first aim point class when it was nothing, and it just gave Jamie a clear focus of where to go, and he's just done an amazing job with it. Zane, again, well, Andy, jump into the room for a second. What would you say is Zane's USP to you?
Coaching elite players, young elite players looking for tour experience.
Yeah, lovely. So I think you've gone from tour players there into young tour players and you can give the experience as well. So you've actually dug a little bit further, and Zane's done that great, you know, set up his practice club, all these little things. He's made a really nice USP for himself, and then he tags his story onto the back of it and his own experiences, and it's quite a powerful model. So yeah, great. Bully, we all know what Bully does. Adam Young, again, simplified the process, how to practice. Carl Morris, Phil Kenyon, Dave Peltz, Lee Cox there, Leah. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to share one with you here. This was a conversation that I had with Lee down the right hand side here, because I wanted to know how he got his USP of long driving. So I said to Lee, I said, how did you end up with it? He said, I'm lucky that I was busy before I got that USP, but probably 20, 30% of my new clients are related to speed and distance. And you'll see this was 3.5 years ago. It's a lot more than that now. So I put, how did the relationship with Joe Miller come about? Because that was really his catalyst. Okay, and this is fascinating. So he did some part-time work for us, and a pro told me he hit it a long way. His dad asked me about coaching him for long drive, and I said yes. As I was driving home, I thought, fuck, I better go and try and find out something about long drive. As I had agreed to something at that time I knew absolutely nothing about. From then on till this day, I tried to find out everything I could about the discipline. So there's just a great example. And there's two things to this for me. One is an opportunity has stared him in the face and he's gone, you know what, stuff it, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to chuck my heart and soul into it, and I'm going to give it everything that I've got. And it's developed into the Lee Cox that we know now, which is fantastic. You've got the other side of that, whereas I see coaches who try to be everything to everybody, but then they don't follow through with that, and they don't put the USP on it, and they don't research into it. And what they probably should have done was pass that player on to somebody that could have helped them a little bit more. So I think if we've got a clear USP, then we can really move them somewhere else. So I'll take me, for example. If a 7-year-old's parent phones me up and says, Steve, heard you got a good reputation of producing players, would you work with my child? I'll go, I am absolutely rubbish with any child under the age of 13. And I'll openly say that. I'll go, I can't coach them because I don't have the skill set to do it. I'm going to pass you to Aaron over here or somebody else that can really help your child develop in that area. And then maybe when they've moved through, maybe they'll end up back with me. So that's kind of how I work it, and I'm turning business away by doing that. But the way we've set our golf academy up is that we've got 6 pros on site. We've got a head of beginner coaching, we've got a head of women's coaching, we've got a people that work with club golfers, we've got somebody that looks after the members. I work with elite level players. So we've all got our own role in our remit. We've got a junior coach as well. So we've all got our own role and remit. We're all self-employed individual people, but we pass players to each other because we know that's what's best for our client. And because of that, then they've bought into the whole academy and the facility as well. And they'll move around as they need to. So if I've got an elite level player that needs 3D, I'll move them across to Aaron, who works with Mark Ball, and go, can you run him through for me? I'll either sit in on the session with him, or he'll give him a report back, and then he'll move him back again. And it just becomes really powerful in terms of what we do and how we do it. And I'm sure some of you are on driving ranges or facilities where you're scrapping against each other. Leah, did you want to ask a question? So you put your hand up. Did you want to chip in with something?
I just wanted to add to that. So I work with Zane and a guy, Steve Furlonger. So I know Lee a little bit.
Great
and
USP.
Exactly. I know. Look at me go. But exactly as you said, the way we've set it up now at Bletchingley, where we're based, is Steve. Exactly as you're saying, USP. He took the bold decision 2 years ago to buy the force plates. He's one of, I think, maybe 2 who've got them in the UK. And he went down that route of longest drive, and now he's flying. He's obviously worked with Lee quite a lot. And then you've got Zane, who does the young tour players. He does this Monday club with them, with scoring, which is great. But then, as you said, I do all the junior stuff. So when we get inquiries pumped through, we just send them off to where we need to go. And, you know, my kids, when I get to that point, if I have any who are good enough to do at elite level, I will, exactly as you said, I will start passing over to Zane, because he's more of a specialist in that area. Zane, like yourself, if he had to teach any juniors who are really young, he don't want to do it. So I actually teach this little boy who's about 5 or 6, Roman. So they send them back to me. So that's like, really just wanted to kind of add to what you were saying. Get yourself in a place where you can share in a comfortable environment, where you don't feel like anyone's stepping on your toes. I think that's really, really important. I've learned that massively this last year or so, being in that environment, or try to create that yourself if you can.
Yeah, that's great, Leah. And I think, you know, we sometimes do have to be everything to everybody if we're the one person in the facility, but we can still pin a USP down on. So, for example, Steve won't be working forces with every single player that comes through, but what he's done a really slick job of is going, as you said, he's gone, right, I'm going to invest in those. I think the other person in the UK with him is probably Richard Hughes, who was somebody who went, actually, I'm going to do all loads of tech. I'm going to buy tech in, and I'm going to educate other pros around it. So a lot of those people that we see up as doing well in the industry is because they've really taken a punt on an area that they love and they're passionate about, and that just adds value to not only them but also their clients as well. So that's great, Leah, that you're experiencing that. And again, to anybody in the room, you can make that happen. It then allows you to do this next bit. You can then play social media with some purpose. So if you go on Steve's timeline, you're going to see a profile that's grown very quickly through lockdown to probably 3,000 or 4,000 people. You're going to see Steve playing with a frisbee and trying to explain to people how forces work, and people have tied into that, and Steve has just played that really, really, you know, somebody, again, I talked with a little bit, I've talked with Lee, and now you can see a collaboration between those two come in. It's going to be even more powerful when you start to stick 2 USPs together. That can really explode. So that's great that you're seeing that, Leah. So play social media with purpose. When you know who you're looking for, you can really start to then market better. Be consistent. So if you want to know how to catch the right fish, you've got to show up every single day. And that doesn't mean talking about forces one day and then junior coaching the next day and then Monday club the next day. It's giving the same message out all the time. Try maybe finding different ways to do it, but you've got to keep showing up every day and showing up with similar messages every day. This is one you'll always hear me say, for anybody that's worked with me, don't market to yourself. One of the biggest problems that we do is, when I say market to yourself, what I mean is we often go, well, I wouldn't buy that. I'd want a deal. That's why I do a 6 for 5. I won't pay £60 for a lesson. You know, and before, if we're not really careful, we start to market to ourselves and base everything around what we like, because we don't know, we're not fishing in the right pond to be able to do it, because we just don't know our customer's avatar well enough. Pricing, a massive point, and such a thing we don't talk about in our industry enough. But every coach that I get on the phone with individually, I ask them, how much are you charging? How much do you make a year? And they all want to talk about it, because that's why we go to work, a lot of us, to pay the bills so we can do what else we want to do. But your pricing is a huge part of this. I haven't got a clue how much Steve charges or Zane charges or Lee Cox. I don't expect it to be cheap, because they've got a USP. They've put a real clear price, you know, and they've invested in their education. They've made themselves experts in that area. If I'm going to see them, A, I'm going to travel to go see them because they're an expert, and B, I'm expecting to pay for that information. And because they're an expert in that area, there's probably going to be a real clear pain point that I've got to go see them as well for that reason. So when you know who you want to catch, which kind of fish you want to catch, then you can know what type of marketing to do. And what I mean by that is that actually, if you want to start with beginners, then you need to be marketing out into the world of people who want to learn to play golf. You know, as Gavin just said there, and Darren as well, if you want to work with juniors, don't keep posting on your Instagram social media that's for 20 to 35-year-olds, because they're probably not going to be hanging out there. The parents are probably on Facebook and the kids will be in Snapchat. So it's understanding where these people are in the marketplace, then predicts what type of marketing you need to do. So if you want to be day in, day out, just filling your diary, I would say the best thing to do is go walk the range. Go sit in the bar and talk to the members, because that's where most of those people are to begin with. They're already golfing. They've already got pain points that they want meeting, and they're in your locality. Sorry, I get passionate about this, but I think it's a great subject and I appreciate your input. So different types of marketing. How are we doing for time, Gavin? Have we got any strict time limit on?
Yeah, we've got about 3 hours, 26 minutes left, mate.
Okay, mate, I should just fit that in. Obviously, if you need to dive out, but I can cut things short if you need to, but we're over halfway there, but I'll keep.
Yeah, I've got about 15 minutes or so and then wrap it up.
Okay, so I'm going to run through a couple of these. So traditional marketing, for those people that kind of don't have many marketing skills or don't understand how to market around their business, referrals are obviously your biggest one to begin with. Don't go to social media before you start to work your current client base. Tell people, you know, they're going to have mates, they're going to parents, they're going to have parents of kids, they're going to hang out with other parents. That's the way it works. Tour players talk to tour players. So referrals is always going to be your best one to begin with. Face-to-face as much as possible. So go walk the range if you work at a range. Go pick the baskets up. Go say hello to people. Go smile at people. Go hang out in the bar and ask how people got on today. I would always do that before I do the other stuff. The downside of traditional marketing is the shotgun approach. So what I mean by that is where we end up sending out flyers to 10,000 letterboxes. Half of them are never going to have an interest in golf whatsoever. Or we're pinning posters again to everybody. I do golf lessons from beginners to tour players. Doesn't fit the need of individual people. And as I've just said, mail shots. Again, mail shots can be great in an email format. If they're going out to your client base, can you start to drill down and make sure it's just going to parents of juniors and make it specific to them? So traditional marketing, very much mail shot.
You think it's important here, Steve, to note as well that it takes time to influence a purchaser's decision, doesn't it? So one isolated strategy is not going to fill your diary. It's got to be a consistent approach that you've researched and planned out for a period of time before you start to see any real traction, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, one of the biggest, my pet hates would be pros that I go, have you done any Facebook marketing? Yeah, I put £5 on and nothing happened. It isn't going to happen. So again, you need to go in with that right, I'm going to put £50 a month on for the next 5 months with a clear market. Because the beauty of things like Facebook marketing, you can get into people, you can get into your avatar. Facebook is going to let you get straight into their phone right in front of you. Okay. But as we know, it's probably going to take 7 to 14 touch points, maybe before somebody pulls the trigger and goes, yes, that's me. I want a lesson with you. So great point there, Gavin. Absolutely. It's just have a strategy.
Messages that tell your story and basically sell the benefits of why they're going to press the button.
Absolutely. Love it. So modern marketing, get a database. One of the biggest things I see in the industry and coaches that I work with do not have a database to start with. It is absolute criminal if you're sat on this Zoom call now and you don't have a database. And what I mean by that is don't say, well, the club's got one, because that's their data that they're allowing you to access, or tag a note on the bottom of it. Oh, by the way, there's a junior camp coming up that ends up being the 7th thing on the email that nobody ever gets to. It needs to be your people, your marketplace, for several reasons. One is you need to capture your data so you can get to the right people. But 2 is if you go somewhere else, you need to be able to take that data with you, where you can't, you know, with GDPR now, you can't just go, oh, just pop that onto my Excel and off I go. So get a database if you don't have one. If you jump off this call with nothing else today, make that your number 1 priority. Social media, if you're going to play it, do what I call jab on it. Again, this is similar to the Facebook stuff. People tell me, yeah, I've tried social media, I tried Twitter, I tried Instagram, it didn't work for me. Well, actually what you did was, again, you posted twice and you tried to sell something to people. You didn't really engage with people. You didn't show up every day. You didn't have a consistent message. So when we talk about jabbing, that's stolen from Gary Vaynerchuk, who's a great follow. If you don't follow him, Gary V, at Gary V on most channels. And Gary's very in your face, straight to the point, but sometimes we need that as people in the world. What you will get is somebody who's also has a lot of empathy, understands work-life balance. I think the old Gary V was hustle, got to be at it, 20 hours a day. He's mellowed, he's matured, but what he talks about is you need to jab, jab, jab. So i.e. give stuff away, and then you're in a position to be able to turn around and ask for something. I've worked with you, I've built a relationship with you for X amount of months. Now I can go, we've got this happening at the moment, will this help you? Whereas as golf coaches, again, we go, junior camps start today, bang, come on, buy it. And we've not integrated, we've not interacted with the parents for 4 months. So, almost running into the season for people in the UK now, I've just suddenly seen this explosion go this week on Monday of everybody going, my diary's open, who wants to book in? And I'm thinking, you've not spoken to these people. So what you should be doing is teeing that up first with a text message that going, how are you getting on? How are you? Create conversation with them. And then maybe you have another conversation. Then maybe you go, if you need any swings looking at, just send them across for me. I'm more than happy to help you. Then when you're ready to sell, the people are listening. And that's also when you get into the social media world, that's how the algorithms are set up. They're there so people interact. So that when you do sell something, it's coming up the top of your timeline for you to be able to sell. Hence why, again, when we just suddenly go on Instagram and go, look at me, I'm launching a program, you get 1 like and you get 35 views and they go, that's a waste of time, it doesn't work for me. So be really good at that interaction with people. So jab, jab, jab where you can. Tougher marketing would be website and funnels. So it all sounds very complicated, this, but if you're going to have a web page, which a lot of people panic because they haven't got one, if you're going to have one, you've got to have one for a purpose. So your web page needs to be right. This is somewhere where people are going to go and not find out about me to begin with. They're going to find out about how I can help them solve their problem. So when you go to that web page, again, this is a whole talk in itself, but the answers need to be there for people or how you can help them solve that problem. Not just, hi, I'm Gavin, I've done this for 20 years, look at me, look at me. It needs to be about them. This is what we do. This is how we help you. This is the journey we want to take you on to get you to here. We're here for you, to support you. So that's where a website would come in, or it becomes part of your funnel. When people go, what is a funnel? Basically, it's somewhere where we're taking people from out here that maybe we don't know, and we're trying to get them all the way maybe to our lesson tee. Okay? So the funnel is the journey we're going to take them on down through those stages. So if you're trying to just get people to come to your website on Google, that is a hard game to play. Okay? And I would say that's a resort that's down the line that you need, because if you've not already hoovered up the people that are in the bar, on the range, the parents that are dropping the kids off, the people that are on your database, those that are on your social media, then maybe you need to go to your web page and Google and start to bring traffic in. Okay? Yes, it is a way we need to go to recruit people, but I wouldn't start there. But have a clear picture of the role that your website plays in your marketing. And then once you've got them onto your web page, what's the purpose? Not just to educate them. Do you want to try and get their email address so you can put them into your mailing process? Do you want to move them from there to somewhere else? Do you want to get them to follow you on Facebook? Have you got a Facebook community that you've built that you can bring them into, where you can start to chat with other people that you work with? So having a strategy about how to move them down that funnel is really key. But don't be scared by the word funnels, because it is just, people make it sound really difficult in the marketing world. Okay, sorry, I talked too much. I'm gonna have to blast through some of this stuff. Online booking to reviews. So again, I will give a little bit on this. If you don't have an online booking system, pop your hand up for me in the room if you don't have an online booking system. Anybody not got one? Okay, Anthony's got 2 hands up. Okay, so get one, start looking at one. Reason being is everybody goes, well, I want to control my diary. I don't want people jumping in and booking lessons in. It's a really narrow view, that, to be honest with you, because what you're doing is you're making life very difficult for yourself. Booking systems these days, there are absolutely loads of them out there. I'm not going to say you need to go with this one or that one. You need to go do a little bit of homework and find out what works for you. They're not expensive. You can even get them free these days to go into your web page if you're a one-man band. But what it can do is it allows you to set up your diary to get that work-life balance. And then people they're committed to getting into your diary, okay? You're not going to lose your FootJoy diary and your whole week goes down and everything panics. It's there, it's web-based, okay? But the bigger things for me are, you are giving people the opportunity to book in when they want to book in. That's the biggest thing. What we tend to do is go, no, I want to control my diary. And what you do is you go and teach for 5 hours. You come off the lesson tee. You've got 7 WhatsApps and 4 missed calls. You then have to call these people back and you can't get hold of them. They might have, then you leave a message going, I've got one at 2 or 3 that's available. Somebody else comes to you, goes, have you got anything next week? Well, I can't let them know until this first person replies to me if they want that time or not. Sunday evening, people are watching the golf. They're fired up because they've shot 113 that morning and they know they need to do something about it. They go onto your web page and the web page is, send me an email if you'd like a golf lesson. You pick up the email Monday morning. Hi, thanks for your email. We've got slots on Wednesday or Thursday. They go and play golf Monday morning and they've shot 93 and they're not interested in a lesson anymore because they've fixed it. So you've got to get them when they want to buy. There's nowhere else really on this planet, or very few, where I can't go to a dentist without booking online. I need to go online to book a flight. I need to go and book online to get a hotel or a restaurant. So unless you're an exclusive 5-star resort, I would say, where everything needs to be totally personalized and in-house, then I would say there's very few reasons you shouldn't have a booking system. The last thing around that as well is, well, 2 things, 3 to be honest with you. Data capture, it does it for me. So if somebody books a lesson, it goes straight into my MailChimp, job done. They're on my next mailing list, or even automated too, going out. Second thing is, does anybody in this room know what their retention rate is on a client that walks through the door? So if a client comes in for a lesson, do you know how much they're worth to you, how many lessons they have on average? It's something we should know in our industry. If I walk into a hotel and ask them what their occupancy rate is, they'll be able to tell me. But I go to a golf pro and we have not got a clue what our retention rate is. We think it's pretty good. That's usually the type of answers that I'll get. Now for me, if I know that mine's at 6.84, something like that, so I can then monetize that if I want to. Every client that walks in, they have 6.84 hours with me. Now I've got a coach on site that's at 2.1. I know that I need his retention skills because he's getting people in, but he's not able to keep them. So there's something going wrong with the relationship that's being built, or the questions that are being asked, or the program that's being put in place. So it helps you drive your own business forward. The third thing is, as soon as somebody comes and has a lesson with me, they get an automated email that goes out that says, I hope you enjoyed your lesson today. If you've not booked back in yet, here's the link to do so. And I'd love to get a review from you straight off the back of the lesson you just had. One of my pet hates again is testimonials on websites that says, I had a lesson with Gavin. It was the best thing that I have ever done. What I really want is somebody going into a live review site like a TripAdvisor that's giving me some feedback. And if we've got 5 stars across the board, I know we're operating as we should do. Or somebody's going, 4 star, it was okay, I'm moving on. I don't know about you, the people in the room here, but we don't go on holiday without my wife trawling through TripAdvisor to make sure to spend our hard-earned money on the right hotel. And she's looking at the 1 stars, she's looking at the 2 stars, she's looking at what was recent, is there building going on? And so not everybody is an instinctive, impulsive buyer. There's what I call the logic person who goes, no, I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to, so you've got your referral person, your homework person, and then your fear of missing out person. So that's all of those things that a booking system can do for you. So if you don't have it, I would say start looking at it. Warren, sorry, I have your hand up for ages there, mate. Do you want to jump in and with a question or a comment? Yes, no, is he there?
Sorry, I got the message last night or yesterday about this, and I'm glad that I've done it because I'm writing down notes and I'm seeing where I need to improve. And I think one of the things I've been working on myself, which I'm gonna start doing, I'm gonna get like a start of a monthly. I don't know what your views on this point is, but getting a monthly fee from everyone and supplying a service to them so that they get a couple of tips a month, like golfing tips, and then organise maybe like once a month a Zoom. So, you know, anyone can come on that I know and maybe add to what I don't know or bring another viewpoint in or something where people go, oh yeah, I'm getting all this different information from varying people. So you're giving them a platform, a community. That's the best way that's my vision now, is to create a community around me, and obviously other people creating community with me. So you create this like multi-communities really across the golfing board if people want to do that.
So I'll give you one of my secrets away here, Warren, because you've asked that question, which is, well, not a question, but made a comment there. Something that I did 2 years ago was I started building communities. And what I did was I went to Facebook and went, like, where are all these golfers sitting? Well, they're in Facebook. So I set up Golf Chat Derbyshire, which was around me. I've now got 850, 900 people that sit in that group, and they look after each other. So I'm the only pro that sits in the group, unless I let other pros in that I'm working with. They sit in there, they facilitate the conversation once I've got it going. And then as soon as somebody goes, oh, where do I get golf lessons from around here? Anybody recommend? I can just sit back and they'll just go ding, 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 Steve, 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 Steve. And occasionally I'll put videos in there. I'll answer questions. I'll go in on a Sunday evening. I'll go, how did you play this week? How did everybody play? And I'll get 30, 40 comments because everybody wants to share that. So get in touch with me if that's something you want to get involved with, because I've got 10,000 golfers sitting around the world in different places in those communities, from Dubai to Australia to, I think we've got about 30 of those groups in the UK. So get in touch with me if you would like to get involved in that. FOC, and let's help you build a community of people around you. But yeah, that's what I did and how I did it. And then, as you said, Warren, down the line, if you want to then monetize that, you might then get to a stage where you go, right, well, actually, now I'm going to add an extra service in maybe a Facebook group over here, where if people want to pay £5 a month, they get 24/7 review on their swing. They're going to get, my latest swing tips, and you can move them across and maybe grab their email address. So it's just part of my funnel where they sit. And again, people will invite their friends into the groups. So you can have that one for free. Okay.
Thank you.
We
Pleasure.
are getting close, Steve. So I think.
Do you want to go Q&A, or do you want me to blast through these really fast?
Well, let's blast. I like this slide. This is a thing of beauty right here. So let's run through this. Okay. Know when to post. Go into your analytics. Find out who is the best time to post for you. It will tell you. Okay. Instagram. Use the places function. So go and search your place where you coach, and it will show you who has been to your facility recently and posted from there. Drop them a message saying, did you enjoy it on the range yesterday? I noticed you were at our facility. Okay. Next one, Facebook, build communities. Position yourself in the marketplace where you're going to be the go-to person. Okay, so we just talked about that one nicely. Organic followers. People come at me all the time and go, oh, would you like me to grow your Instagram account? It's follow, unfollow. When somebody goes onto my Instagram and they like 17 posts and expect me to like their feedback, I'm not interested. I want organic people on there that engage with me, that I can engage with, and then we build some conversation over a period of time. I don't care. So if you go onto my Instagram, I've probably only got about 1,800 people, but I know they're organic and I know they're people in my area. I don't care about having 20,000.
Recognize the algorithms. You need to do your homework and play these and research them. The reason I went into Facebook groups is because Mark Zuckerberg goes, that's where we want to be at the moment. We're all about community on Facebooks. So therefore, your posts are going to go higher up other people's feed. If they ever put anything new out on those platforms, i.e. Instagram Reels, go play it. Go get into that area, because they will move you up the algorithms again. They want you, they put something out there, they want you to play it. Simple as that. And the algorithms are set up to do that. And as we said earlier, you need to go interact with people. Don't just show up and expect people to buy. So constantly keep doing that. But recognize the algorithms and how they change.
Just go back to that, just to give some people a specific here. I think the Instagram Reels is really, it's such a classic example of a new product that's come out to foster deeper and more regular engagement through their platform, right? So what would you post if I said to you, right, can you go and do an Instagram Reel this afternoon? What would you do?
Selling the problem that I solve. So I want to hit people's pain point as much as I can. I want to show the environment where they're going to be, so it makes them feel comfortable. Maybe an example of how I'm working with somebody. That would be where I'd use Reels, and I'd just flip those things together.
Right. A specific time.
Don't need to overcomplicate it, Gavin. I think that's really key as well. I think you could go out in your diary, because a lot of people get scared by social media. If you put an hour in your diary every week and went marketing time, and what I'd do in that hour is I'd text 5 people that I've not seen for 3 months and just ask them how they are and see how the conversation develops. I'd then go and film 2 or 3 tips. I'd then go film me talking to the camera, and maybe that might be telling my story about what I'm doing and how I do it. And then I'd chop those things up, and I got 2 weeks worth out of that, just taking those little bits, grabbing some of the images, job done. And if you find that you're too busy to have that stuff, go pay a student to come and do it for you and get them to chop it up and do it for you. Simple as that. Yeah, I hope that answers the question, but you don't need to overcomplicate it. You don't need to go to the TikTok lengths of, you know, balancing on things to get that to happen. Okay. Okay. Quick last minute. Great question. Okay, so recognize the algorithms, have a clear purpose, like we said. Measure it, manage it always, same as I'd ask my players to do, so I know I'm working on the right things. Retention beats recruitment all day long. So don't spend your energies on social media. Go look after the people that are in front of you as your priority. So that means working on your coaching skills to make sure they get better and you get results. What I call chameleon coaching, you need to shift and switch yourself to the people that are in front of you. I've got to be able to link with a builder and link with a CEO. So I've got to be able to switch who I am to those people. So that's a great skill to have. Keep in contact with them, as we said, the easy things to do. Be consistent with when you show up. That keeps coming up. Genuinely care about them. Okay. So if somebody throws me a video, I'm not going to go, well, you've not paid me for that. I'm going to give them some feedback on it. Okay. So genuinely care about them. And as we said earlier, put coaching programs together. Get rid of this 6 for 5. Start charging people on a monthly basis and go, you know what? I'd love to see you and help you get to single figures. It's going to take us 6 months on this journey. I'm going to walk it with you. I'm going to see you on a regular basis. I am there for you on that journey. Okay, so start to look at coaching programs. Can't do a presentation without having 6 of something. So you can have 6 C's there.
Well, thanks for that.
I'm going to leave you on this one. I've got a couple of bits. Let me see what else. I'm going to come back to that. So getting time on your side is key in terms of organization. I'm going to get 2 more, Gavin. Sorry. Read that one. Whatever you do, do it well. Do it so well when people see you do it, they'll want to come back and see you do it again. And they'll want to bring others and show them how well you do what you do. That's how Disney based themselves around it. Make it an amazing experience when people show up. You know, what makes me laugh, and this genuinely is one here. I've got people telling me all the time, should I buy a TrackMan? Well, is your diary full yet? Is it going to add more value? You know, I stand there at work with a Flight Scope X2 that I've had for 6 years. And then one of my clients says to me, turns around, he says, can you flip the TrackMan on so we can see how far it's going? Now, the coach to the right of me who spent 18 grand on a TrackMan looks at me every time and goes, can't believe he's just called that a TrackMan. They don't know what it's called, half the clients that we work with. Unless it's relevant for your USP. Does that make sense? So it's about, you know, just understanding what they need and don't get bogged down in what the industry says we should do. So get time on your side, use resources like Buffer, Fiverr, Canva, all these kind of things. Again, come at me if you need to on social, if you want more information on that stuff. But these are ways that I save time for myself. I use different resources to get those things done. Update your website. Again, one of my pet hates is, oh, in 2016, we did that as the last thing on there. Make sure it's current or take it off. Take it off the net if it's not current. Leverage time with your coaching. What I mean by that is if you are too busy, start putting people together. Run practice groups, clubs when they can come in and they can be, you know, 5 or 6 people can work at once. Stop giving yourself charging for 45-minute lessons, but you block yourself off on the hour. You don't need to do that. You can run some things back to back and save yourself about 5 hours a week. The rest of the stuff really is just back to where we started out, being brave in what you do, not standing still. Form partnerships. There'll be people in this room here that today you can go, you know what? We align. Let's get together and go do something. Let's create something. Let's do a trip together this winter where we take our clients and go together. You know, what I love about this, and when Gavin asked me to do it, I didn't, not a heartbeat, I was like, yes, definitely straight away, because you're just part of something here that's so powerful that you can really grow. But the only way it's going to grow is by jumping off the mic and putting your 10 pence in there and then jumping off this call afterwards and going, can we help each other with this? Can we grow with it? And you've got some amazing people helping you on this journey. And they've not paid me to say this, I promise you, but it's just something that you're fantastic. And you're at the forefront of something in our industry here. We are starting to build communities. We're creating things. We're going in Clubhouse and we're sharing information. And it's great, but it's then what you do with it. It's being brave and going, I'm going to just go out on that, on a limb on that. But I know I've got a team of people around me. If I launch programs and they fall on their arse, those people are there to help me and support me. Okay, so
Steve, that we also hold everybody to an extent who's on the call accountable for this.
Yeah.
If you're serious about growing your business, if you're serious about protecting your future, then when we have another call on the back end of the towards the back end of the year, thank you for agreeing to that, Steve. Then let's tell some stories. You know, let's hear some success stories. Let's hear some stories of massive failure. You know, let's understand where we're at so that we can learn from it, and that you, as an individual that's part of a team, you understand how you're going to take this forward into 2022. It's about building for the future. We do have a great community here, so we do need to tap into the resources that we've got. So, I mean, I'd look forward to seeing how everybody will get on with this, and I'll certainly be reaching out to everybody to make sure that we are starting to hold our own futures accountable for this.
Absolutely. You know, and I love it when people like Craig that I've worked with will tell me, you know, Steve, I've just took a Sunday off, and he's almost phoning me up and he's proud of it. I've had a weekend off, or, you know, I got to watch my kids play football on a Saturday morning. I've never done that before, because the industry tells us we have to work Saturday morning. If you're in the leisure industry, you need to do that. It's rubbish. You go create what you want to and then go execute it. Is it going to be tough? Yes. Is there going to be speed bumps? Yes. Have you got great people around you in this room? Yes. And you'll be able to achieve it. So that's kind of me done from there. My details are on the screen there. If you need to reach out, if you'd like to reach out, please do so. You know, I run coaching programs like Craig's been on throughout the year, where we just, you know, mentor him. We support you through the process. For some people, that's putting websites together for them, creating leads, creating the Facebook groups. But just reach out, and, you know, I'm always open to, if you just want to pick up the phone, have a call and talk about you and your business, let's do that. Any questions you want to take? I know I'm way over time, so I'm sorry, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, it's a credit. You're very, very engaging, Steve, and that comes across. It's fantastic. We haven't lost anybody. We've got the same number of viewers. Obviously, this is recorded and it will get pushed out across the network. But I think what we'll do in terms of questions, if you have a direct question, why don't you just reach out to Steve and ask him directly. If you have a point that you're desperate to share with the group, then we can do that now. But I think we have run over. We've all been sat here for about an hour and 20 minutes. The information is fantastic. There's plenty to digest. I will challenge you to act on what you've learned from today, and come forward in a few months when we do this call again, and start to share your experiences, whether positive, negative, whatever. I think it's something that we can all learn from. But I think the information, Steve, that you've given us have been absolutely invaluable. I've loved every minute of it. And I hope that everybody here has taken at least one snippet from this that they can use for their business. And, certainly for everybody that's in the UK, good luck over the next few months. If you are elsewhere in the world and coming out of winter and into the season, then good luck with that. But it's sure going to be an exciting year. I'm sure that everyone's excited for that.
Just from my behalf, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to work with such an established brand, established, people that like yourselves that are just credits to the industry and moving it forward. And as you just said there, I've offloaded loads of stuff on you. Don't be overwhelmed by it today. If you just pick one thing, if you just walked out of here and went, I'm going to build a database, or I'm going to just play this one channel on social media, or I'm going to go get some authentic reviews. If you just grab one thing, that's another step in the right direction. And as I said, just reach out. And, as I said, for those in the UK right now, start talking to your people, drop them some messages, start to tee it up for yourself, but don't panic and offload everything and think, oh, I'm not going to fill my diary. You'll be fine. Just look after people and care for them genuinely is a great place to start. So thank you so much for your time. Thanks for listening, and good luck to everybody.